So my piece was Suffering of the Pilgrims. It was written by Edward Everett, and he lived April 11th, 1794 to January 15th, 1865. He was an American politician, a pastor, educator, diplomat. He was a Whig, and he was a U.S. representative, U.S. senator, 15th governor of Massachusetts. He was a minister to Great Britain, the U.S. Secretary of State, and he was a professor and president at Harvard. So basically, I had to read this a couple times or 6 to kind of understand what was happening. But a quick summary, really basic, is just it talks about the Mayflower and the bad conditions. It asks a lot of questions, which kind of confused me. Like, I'm supposed to be reading to find answers, not to answer questions. But anyways, and then it talks about the governor and how, like, this moment will be, like, should be remembered. How remembered the moment will be. The speaker was Edward Everett, clearly. So some things that I noticed, things I'm supposed to talk about. So he's appealing to emotion many times in this. At the beginning, it is sad indeed. So he's kind of getting on the same level. Sad to see. Those are 2 quotes from Suffering of the Pilgrims. He used really sophisticated language, so it was kind of confusing. If he's using really sophisticated language, he's clearly not trying to appeal to the common man, just because, education wasn't always present to common people in that time. You had to be wealthy to go to college and such. Some of these words I didn't even know how to describe, or didn't even know how to pronounce, but cupidity, obliged, autumnal, and I'm not even gonna try. So there's a quote that's actually 6 whole lines in here, so he uses really long sentences. There's another quote in here that was 13 lines long. Let's see. So he uses personification in this. This is like upper page 2. The ships leap. So, ships don't actually leap. Like, what? They don't actually leap. They're not dancers. But he talks about the church and state and how they're supposed to be together. It says the worship, God's goodness, full of liberty, things like that. Logos. He uses a lot of logos when he asks questions. He asks questions and then there's answers in them, with research, logic, proof. That's what logos is. Ethos. He gains a lot of credibility when talking about his background, the titles that he gained and such like that. He uses a lot of pathos, so he appeals to emotions at the beginning, like I stated before, just when he talks about it is sad indeed, getting on an emotional level with them. So basically, this was actually a really interesting piece. After I kind of understood what it was, it was nice. Like, after I understand it, it all kind of comes together. But with his use of, like, sophisticated language, I had to look up a lot of words. Some of the way that he worded things and how long, like, these sentences would go, I'd have to read the sentences a couple times over. Like, one of the quotes was, "Methinks I see it now, that one solitary adventurous vessel, the Mayflower, of the forlorn hope, freighted with the prospects of a future state." First read, no idea what was going on. After I read this, I felt smarter, actually. But, that was basically what Suffering of the Pilgrims was about. And, after I enjoyed it once I understood.